So, hey, if you're seeing this video, this is one of our premier partners. He's beyond a client. We've known him for years. I've been working with him for years. His name is Dr. Chris Cormier from the Nerve Health Institute and BodyChargers.com. An incredible entrepreneur and incredible doctor. In my opinion, one of the best doctors in the nation, especially when it comes to nerve health. That's the name of his business. And we wanted to share this video with you as, you know, a lot of people ask him. We talked to references, testimonials, people that you worked with in the past. And this man has been with us for 2 years. And so I wanted to give a full-fledged interview where he can share the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it wasn't all pretty and it wasn't all easy. And for you to get a full experience of what he's done with Etho and our brand and how he's grown as a practitioner, both in his business and his personal life. So, Dr. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. So, just talk to us, man. Like, what were you dealing with before we clashed? We ended up colliding together and started working together. What was kind of the state of the practice?
So outside, just the practice in general, was a visit by visit practice. And so we would, we had all this amazing technology, and produced amazing results, but it was like a pressure cooker for me, where literally people would come to us referred. We had, at times waiting lists of patients, but they would come to us and we wouldn't even do treatment plans. We wouldn't do any kind of programs. We would literally just do visit by visit with every patient coming through the door. And so, if they heard about a paralyzed person that was walking, that we got walking, or, somebody who had migraine headaches for 25 years, we got rid of, or, some of the other amazing miracles we've been able to help people with. If they came to see us sometimes in 2-3 visits, if you didn't get, all their symptoms gone, then it basically, they wanted out of the door. Oh, it didn't work for me, and that's what they go out in the community and say. And, so we had a very large following, loving what we do, organic following, but then we'd have people that didn't. So it was just it was not a good recipe for a long-term practice. I knew it wasn't. We tried hiring so many different people to help us market, and everybody overpromised and underdelivered. And it was never a scenario where, they would come in and act like they were going to do something. And once you got them once we got in the system, they didn't really know what to do, and they didn't really have the means on what to do to help us market, because we're so radically different and innovative that they would come in and think that, I could do it like I did for this other doctor or whatever. And they honestly couldn't. And even if they had good intentions, the marketers, none of them worked. So I probably went through dozens. I don't even know how many. I don't even know how much money we spent on marketers, people doing websites, people doing all the various things we've been able to do. I've written 3 books. We tried our hardest to get everything we could out there, but the whole practice model, once I met you, started to change a little bit.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because I know it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, and I know it was a lot of pain. So talk me through that process in a nutshell. Sounds like, we're kind of foreshadowing. You went from a visit to visit to more programming. And so talk me through that process. I remember when I first, sat in your office and we started talking about doing that. And I remember okay, like, this is what we're going to do and how much we're going to charge. And because you were so used to the, visit by visit model with a few $100s to see you. Right. And it was brute force was how you were hitting your numbers, revenue wise. So take me through that experience, what you were kind of like that first moment when I shared with you, hey, this is what we're going to do. And then transitioning the practice and your team, right? It wasn't just you making that decision. It was also getting your team on board. What was that like? Good, bad, and ugly.
I think before we even get into that, in our relationship, when we first had our call, I was skeptical. I was skeptical, because again, I'd heard it all, right? Heard it all from various people. Luckily somebody I trust, Dr. Rob, is a good buddy of mine, and he recommended you, and he said the exact same thing that I'm saying right now. I went through dozens of marketers, really nobody did any good for me. I mean, very little, if any. Had a ton of over-promising, under-delivering. So we going through that initial meeting, I was like skeptical, and we didn't even get into all the things you were going to help us change. So in hindsight, I can't thank you enough for allowing us or opening our eyes to transition to where we are now, in a much, much better place all around, to do the fun stuff we like to do. But that initial conversation was, I mean, I trusted Rob, that he had a good experience with you. And still but I could hear something in your voice that made it seem different. Like it just, I like surrounding myself around people who, I mean, I guess the easiest way to say this, the 2%ers, the people that are going to be, always going to go the extra mile and always going to, figure something out. And the people who I'd hired before, I didn't really get that out of any of those people. And I could sense something in our initial conversation that you seemed to me like that type of person, that you were going to go the extra mile. And since that time, you have literally gone the extra mile in every capacity. I mean, so that's been such a godsend to us to have somebody, because you could easily sit back and just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing whatever, and I'm not caring or concerned, but you're always caring and concerned that the people that you're with, that you're representing and doing work for, that you're doing the right stuff. And I've even seen you to the point where if it's somebody that's not upholding your moral standards, then you don't take them. I mean, and that's the kind of person I want involved, with us. So you've turned out not to be just a good marketer, but a good friend as well, because we see eye to eye on a lot of different things.
And, I want to say thank you for that, because that's amazing. I think it's been learning about you, learning about your family, and getting to know the ins and outs of how you operate as a man outside of just the practice, right? How you operate as a man, as a father, as a husband, and seeing your character as well, because, you're someone that has very high standards for yourself, high pain tolerance as well. I would say, you can't do what you do if you don't have high pain tolerance, and really taking you from a place where I remember that first conversation, you're just like, man, like, you're not burnt out. That's not the right word. It was just like, man, how can I break through? Then we've used this word recently, right? How can I break through? Yep. And I think what for me, when you talk about the 2%, or you talk about that spark, is, I'm someone that when someone tells me I can't do something or it can't be done, that just lights a fire under my ass. I'm like, okay, I want to prove you wrong. I want to prove you wrong. And I'm, for lack of a better word, hell-bent on whether it's with the right intentions or wrong intentions. It's like, I want to absolutely show this person that it can be done, and vanquish that objection, or vanquish that thought is probably the right word. And so when we started out, I mean, it was okay. There was a rocky start. I want to talk about that rocky start. I want people to know, like, it wasn't perfect out the gate. We had a lot of bumps. We had some bumps and bruises and testing things, and some things worked, some things didn't. And so can we talk about that a little bit as well? Sure.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, going into it, obviously in hindsight, it was hyperdrive. I mean, so we originally, you went into right away, let's get over there and get on, see what he's got, figure out all the stuff that's there, and start radically changing a lot of the format of everything, including the website, the videos, the content. And we already had so much content, and I thought I was good in content. I mean, but I really wasn't. In hindsight, the website was more about services, which people don't know anything about services. And, through you, we shifted it all to conditions, and really don't talk about a whole lot of our services on our websites or anything like that anymore. We keep it to where, hey, we can help you with a condition. So it's much more robust and specific, and talking to patients directly versus, I wanted to talk about all my tech and all the stuff I thought I was doing good for telling my patients, but you brought to light, like when you go to the dentist, he doesn't tell you the RPMs of the drill he's using, in your mouth. I mean, it's just, it's something that people just they want to know, can you fix my tooth? I mean, so through a lot of my, I don't want to say hard-headedness, but it was like, I thought I was in the right sector and I thought I was doing the right things. I was being guided in all these other directions at times and just wasn't. And so I had to be open-minded, number one, which I already am, which helped, to change. And if you did something, you told me to do something, I was going to do it. And in all fairness, if I wouldn't have listened to you, and been like, no, I'm going to do every time you've told me to do something, I'm doing it. I mean,
yeah.
And then we had a lot of ideas together, so once we started changing the whole, platform, then we started having ideas on ads and what to go in ads. And then we bounced a lot of ideas back and forth. I mean, so many times you would call me and have an idea and we'd run it and it wouldn't work. And I would call you with an idea and oh my God, it's the next greatest thing. And it wouldn't work necessarily. And I say wouldn't work. They would have success, but it was never really a breakthrough type ad. And so I guess for the last now really 4 months, we've finally broken through, and it took us 2 years. I mean, if you really think of it, it took us 2 years, of tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. But, we first started with you, $1 million practice, but had so much more upside that we should have been doing, and I wanted it there, and I kept thinking I was doing all the right stuff to go there, but I just need the right person to help see my vision and then understand how to market to be able to get all of that there. And that's literally what you've been able to do. I mean, so this past month, we just had our highest month ever. And it didn't happen overnight, right? It took us a good bit of work, but where I see us now is we're so much more poised for doubling or tripling or quadrupling where we are, than we ever have been. And it's just now we've developed the systems, in place to be able to replicate and replicate and replicate.
Yeah. And I love sharing. I love that you shared that, because I know it was hard fought. We've had, like you said, it was what I'm so proud of your specific account is because typically I was like, okay, this normally doesn't take this long, but we kept running into these hangups, these hiccups, these things that just did not break through. And a lot of it was because your stuff is so unique that there is no playbook. It's not like just Chiro or just decompression or just this thing. It was, we have to create an entire marketing message around something that doesn't exist anywhere else. And with Rob, the guy that, another dear friend, took him 9 months. And now he's been pretty steadily going for, going on to over 3 years. He's a client of us for 3 years. And so for you, figuring out the secret sauce, because where most people forget, or they think they miss, and this is even part of our communication, is they think that we're just a marketer, right? That's just the only thing that we can do is market you. But there's a lot of internal stuff as well. Practice management, experience, the way you actually offer to the market. How do you make phone calls? How do you handle sales? What does the system need to look like? What do the automations need to look like? What is all the basic experience from the point of a click all the way to the time that they actually sign for care, and then throughout that? How do you monetize people through this process? How do you charge, and what do you charge? It's marketing is just one layer. It's one component of the full system. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit about those things that weren't necessarily just from an ad perspective, but more so the internal stuff that shifted, and then also shifted within your team too.
Yeah. So it's so much more complicated than you just coming into the office saying, hey, you're going to start, instead of visit by visit, you're going to do programs, and we're going to change your website, we're going to throw some ads up and that's going to be it. I mean, that's not what happened at all. You're exactly right. My team, from the moment we saw a new patient, right? So, we used to just, have a new patient call in, schedule the new patient, and have a new patient come in for reported findings. And we really never, had any kind of prep at all. And so now it's like so radically different. I mean, now we have a remote setter that we've hired, and I don't even like the word. A patient advocate is better, like you said. But basically, this person out there, we have ads that obviously draw people to schedule appointments, but then we have ads that are getting leads that my staff doesn't necessarily have time to call leads at the office, but we hired somebody virtually that can be in a nice place when they're making calls every day, and they schedule this person. So one of the leads, we have these leads out there, instead of just letting them go to waste like some of these other companies do. You taught us to set a person like this in place, and it was uncomfortable. I mean, it honestly took me, I don't know how many months to really feel comfortable enough to do it. And then I went through my own process. Kind of, you had your process. I went through it a little different, but I got my person, and now we have that person hired, and that part's great. But that's just the introduction. Then, if a new patient schedules, we have a video you helped us design that goes through the whole first visit that we send out to them, and so they have that video before they even come in the office. And then they get to the office. We have all the paperwork and everything. We have a little strategy. The staff talks to them. You helped coach us through every part of it. All the ways we were talking to patients, from every aspect. All my staff members you have, and then we bring them back. We do the initial evaluation and history and all the stuff we do. Well, that patient will leave after the first visit, and we send them another video explaining the visit from that visit that we just did, and then what to expect, so that the staff members their family members can understand what just happened, because what we're doing is so radically different. One of the things you really were able to do that nobody else has been able to do is to customize and individualize, because we're so radically different. You said it earlier. I mean, when you got all these paralyzed patients walking, and you got all these different miracles we're able to see, we're so blessed here, but it doesn't sound realistic. And so I thought, hey, if I got a paralyzed person walking, I just throw up a testimonial, and man, they're going to have, 1 million people like that video. But like you've taught us, I mean, they're not believable. So it really, you really had to dig deep and work hard, to format something where we had to almost dumb down some of the results and use lesser results, to make it more believable, so that the public would believe it a little bit more. But everything from start to finish, even in now, like once a patient purchases a program, then they'll go through the program, and the way we're talking to them the whole way through. One of the words I used to say is please. I used to say it. I didn't even know saying it.
Yeah,
I remember. Emily, I remember it looked like you were about to, pull your hair out when I said, please. Oh, wait, don't do that on the video,
Yes.
I just realized certain things I was doing, and I thought I was doing the right stuff, but I'm really, and whether that please just sounds desperate, I thought I was doing I thought I was saying please being in a nice way. And you're like, no, that sounds desperate. Just little coaching things that needed to be done. And if I wouldn't have done those things, not only me, it carried forward into my staff. My staff was, if I said please, my staff was saying please, and so it trickled.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the justify, plead, and condemn, right? These are the three major sins of when you have the authoritative stance, which you have, right? You have this authoritative figure, a lot of different algorithms in your brain that allow you to solve people's problems. And so if you come from that almost from a back foot, it doesn't set you up as an authority, which is completely opposite to, first of all, your personality, and how you operate as a human, as a businessman. So I I was like, we got to fix this, man. We got to get this going. So every time, it was funny, we would be on calls, and I remember we would be working on a script or something, and the word please would come out. And as you started going, we're going to do that one again. I just love how you would catch it in the midair. You'd be like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I have to do it over. But it was great. It was great watching this, this evolution, and even your staff getting more comfortable. Your office manager, I believe that's her title, general manager, office manager, Shannon. She, some of the times I was hearing how she was overcoming some of the objections inside of the console when people would make these excuses, and she's like, wait a minute. And then she would overcome that. Like, you're going to have, the one I remember specifically was, this one was willing to spend, I think it was $20,000 on a dog, or it was something to that effect. And she was dealing with, if I'm not mistaken, it was like toxicity from cosmetic surgery, if I remember correctly, that she had done something to that effect. And she's like, wait a minute, you're okay with your husband being good with spending $20,000 on a dog, but not investing in your health to keep you alive and healthy, and it's less?
Yep.
Walk me through that. Help me understand. And then the woman ended up starting because of that. So these kinds of, the confidence level that's gone up with that, I think was incredible. Your videos, I think, and I'll make this really clear to anyone watching, you've probably produced, out of all the entire partner roster we have, of all the clients I've ever worked with, you have the most video content by far. And I think that's just came as effective. You're already great on video when I met you, in a sense of you were good at putting those out. Of course, we wanted to frame those in a specific way, and the frameworks and all this stuff. But now your system that you have, the whole model in the front end, is very much to drive patients in a way where they have opportunities to understand what you do, have an opportunity to understand the different ways you help them get better, and share your methods with them in a way where the goal is that they come to you already ready, or as close to ready to buy. What have you seen as this shift, especially because we went into the right condition? I would say we focus on the right condition for you over the last 4 months. What have you seen as far as patients coming in and their level of awareness on what you do comparatively, let's say a year ago, or even a year and a half ago?
So you said this, I remember, I'm trying to think of the exact verbiage that you used, but it was the tiniest of changes can make the biggest of differences. But it's not just one or two of those tiny changes. It's a bunch.
Yeah.
And you have to do so many different little bitty changes. And then if you keep doing those little bitty changes everything gets better. And that's exactly what's happening. I can, at this point right now, I have so much less pressure than I had 2.5 years ago. Because I can intuitively feel like we're going to get, and here's, I got to share this. This is one of the most rewarding things. So we never got a patient before seeing you through advertising. Nothing ever worked. I mean, and if we did, it was, I really have to go back and look, but it was, even if we ran a TV ad or something, we would never really get business. But everything we got was organic, and we had such an organic following, which is fantastic. Right. But as it started happening in my community, we're so far ahead of anybody else close to us in this area, probably in the country, some of the stuff we have in this clinic. And I don't mean that in a bragging way. I just mean I've been grinding for 26 years, trying to help people so hard. I mean, our brains are similar, where we're just, you give me a problem and you tell me I can't fix it, we're going to fix it. We'll figure it out. And so basically in that capacity, through all those patients we would see, it was from how bad the pressure was back then to now. It's like, you're either in or you're out. I mean, we have a program for you. I have the sauce, I have the food, I have the gumbo for you, right? If you, I mean that not in the health way,
yeah,
but we have it here, and you taught us that. We have it here. If you want it, you can have it. You get the results. If you don't, I'm so sorry. I mean, it's on you. I can remember myself before more begging, pleading, like, no. And I thought I would have to go after it. And now we don't have to do that anymore. I mean, and it's a confidence that in your business, I can feel each month because we're strategizing with these systems. Right now, we really only have one ad campaign running to a condition that we're targeting. But I can feel like, as we add multiple doctors, we can replicate this system now and have multiple ones if we want. As we start bringing more doctors in, I got one associate doctor now, and we have so much more room for growth.
Yep.
And now that we've got, this one really good one running, we can just keep replicating, and adding more to get everything better.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you focusing on, I think what is one of the best niches for what you do, autoimmune and chronic disease, I think is an absolutely incredible one. I do think it has a lot more legs. The funny thing is we're barely scratching the surface when it comes to your ad ROI. Now, I did the report yesterday for you, and I was going to share it with you privately. But what have you noticed about this model that I have set up that makes the advertising less risky? I would say the last 4 or 5 months, whatever it was, we'll call it, less risky. And the way we've structured the fees and the way we've structured the way the ads, the way we're building that attribution, the way we're making sure that we're getting, hey, we're spending $1 and we're getting X back. Talk about that just a little bit briefly, and then we can kind of close it out.
So there's one thing I want to say, like, we never, when we were doing before, it was all organic, people coming through. And then now what's happening is, and this is what I love so much, is I'll get a patient coming in and saying, how'd you hear about us? Well, normally, they'll have 2 or 3 patients and then maybe a Facebook ad. Maybe the Facebook ad pushes them over the limit. Guess what's happening now? We'll get some patients coming in. They're like, I just heard about you on Facebook. Like, wow, that's fantastic. Cause it wasn't happening before. So some people may look at that as negative. Well, I look at it as positive, because there's so many people out there. They're not going to know. I'm not, overly confident to where I think everybody in the whole area knows who I am. Cause these people, like, I've never heard of you before. And they come in sometimes and end up being the best patients ever, where I miss the opportunity without running an ad for those patients. So that's what's happening now. We're still getting plenty of organic ones blended with the Facebook ads, but we're also getting, plenty that are by themselves and thanking us along the way. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, thank you so much for putting that ad out.
I mean,
yeah. And that part's been great. Regarding the consistency, again, when we first started, it wasn't what it is now. But once we found that right keyhole, and found the right key, I mean, it's now it's consistent. You can feel like we've got traction. One of the good things about you is you're very much on top of everything. You have systems in place, that watch everything, and you're constantly watching and saying, okay, this ad's fatiguing a little bit. Let's go do some more ad, copy video. Let's go do this, so that we keep it from fatiguing. That's your words. And I didn't even know what that was in terms of ads, but I can see it. I think people out there maybe to see that, Coke may run an ad. Hate to use a bad, Coke. I don't even want to use Coke, but something else out there could run an ad, Nike for a while, and that ad just generate a ton of results. And then it just slowly they make tweaks to it along the way until it finally wears out, and then they do another one. So, kind of never understood a lot of that strategy, but I know better now as through the process.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely, you've learned a lot. I mean, you've had to through osmosis, and as have I. So, and I want to close this out with, for the right person that's watching this, and I don't expect everyone to be the right person for this. Who is the type of person, and what would you tell them about us here at Etho, because it's not just me now. When we first started, it was just basically me and one other assistant. Now I got a whole team. What would you tell them about our team? What would you tell them about, what should they expect, or what is something that they should know going into this process? And like I said, this is where, if they're going to make a decision to move forward or not, what would you say is that big thing? That I would say, if you're here, don't make the decision to move forward. If you are here, that's the right decision. What would you would say to them?
So if you're a business owner and innovative health doctor like I am, and you want somebody who's going to work their tail off for you and adjust and adapt to your particular situation, but also give you some gut checks where you're like, okay, hey, you're not doing this right and you're not doing this right. You're going to have to be constructively critical of yourself, and you're going to have to listen to what he will tell you to do. But if you follow exactly what he will tell you to do, he will figure you out. And it's nothing different than me figuring out a patient here that has these complex health issues. I don't give up on that patient until we figure it out. And it's the same way with Etho. Their team will figure out exactly what you got going. It may take a little bit. It may not be instantaneous. Yeah. But then again, it could be. You might be one of those practices where I was a very common, he calls me the unicorn all the time. So, my practice was intricately complex in so many different ways. But he never gave up, and still hasn't given up, and still thinks that we have a $10 million plus practice.
I think so.
And so now, with all that work we put in, we're poised for something that I would have potentially missed out on had I not listened to everything that you had to tell me and followed all the instruction that you and your team have given to us. So if you're looking for somebody to help you grow your business, that you can really trust and understand that they're going to work their tails off until they get success out of it, then Etho is the right choice.
And for those who would you say it's not the right choice for?
If you're somebody that wants to do the bare minimum, somebody not willing to be constructively critical of yourself, somebody with the wrong health intentions, maybe you just want to make $5 million and you want to do terrible treatment to people without getting real good results, and you're in it for the wrong reasons, and Etho's not the right person for you, or not the right group.
That's right. Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Cormier. Guys, I just want to say thank you for watching this full interview here. Dr. Chris Cormier from the Nerve Health Institute and BodyChargers.com. This man is a shining star when it comes. I'm one of the most proud of watching his growth, and I can't wait to see where he goes from here, because we are ready. We are set to break through even on a bigger level. He just had his record month last month. We missed the target by just a small. I mean, it was so small. It was a huge target, but it's exciting to see the growth and seeing him push through this, and to get to the return, the team running like a well-oiled machine, the business running like a well-oiled machine, where he has much more time to be able to spend with your kids, with your family. And so he is someone that I've now called a friend, and he is someone that I trust with my family, their health, and I respect you, and I admire you, and I also love the fact that I get to call you friend. So thank you, Dr. Chris. Appreciate your time. Thank you for being on this interview today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Likewise, and everything you just said.